Next up are the introduction to visual rules. I recognize that these videos are a little bit longer. I apologize, but there's a lot to go over. The purpose of CSS is style the web page, yada, yada, yada. We've already done all that. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Okay, so we've already done a little bit of fonts. Oh my God. Okay. So there's like Microsoft Word, Google Doc. Okay, it's just relating all of this stuff to different things that you've worked with. So we changed the font family somewhere over here. Font family something. Probably, I don't care. Okay, so we can font is a little bit weird because you have several different types of fonts. You can have you can pull in a font and download it and have it be a part of your website, or you can say, hey, I want a serif font and I want it this size, I want it this, blah 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 blah, and you can really specify like several rules that if the browser doesn't support one, it'll move on to the next one. It's actually kind of cool. So it goes into, there are web safe fonts that are supported across all browsers, and there it goes into like how to do all this and blah 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 blah. You can specify the specific thing. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's just dive in. Inside of in the style.css, okay, H1, all of this stuff, it looks like Times New Roman. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna make H1 and H2 be Georgia. Okay, so instead of changing it inside of there, let's add another rule, H1 comma H2. H1, H2, remember that's the OR statement. Font family is Georgia. Okay, so now I run this. Now H1 and H2 should change to being Georgia. Yeah, that looks different. Okay, now we're going to change the paragraph to being Helvetica. Okay, and there already is a specific one, and we're not applying it to multiple, so let's just change the font family to Helvetica. Run. Great. So now we can clearly see that is different. It is not recommended that you have several different fonts at the same time. It can make it more difficult to read. Generally, you do different font sizes and colors and various other things, but try to maintain a consistent font across all of your website. That is just generally a good practice. Now, font size. Okay, this is another thing that you can put on, and they are in pixels. Just the default is pixels. So we're going to change paragraph to be pixels. Oh, notice how they got rid of it and made it. Nah, that's annoying. All right, so font size is 18 px. If you just do 18, it'll default to pixels, but it's technically a good thing to just put in px. There are different types of sizes. I'm pretty sure that's coming up that we can use basically everywhere. And we can see actually some of it here. 1.3 EM, you have pixels. There's also there's VH, VW, there's percentages. You can see there's a percent right there. There are different ways to use the width and height and stuff like that, measure distance on a screen. All right, so let's go to next. Font weight. This just changes if it's bold or not, essentially. And it goes through, okay, it has some default things like bold and normal, but there's also weights to each of these. So that's why they call it weight. So okay. So now font weight bold. So notice how that changed that to bold. So this can go between 100 and 900 as well. This is the thing that's kind of annoying with font weight. There's no in between. So it's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 8, 9. Okay. So that's also a way to measure font weight. So if I change that to 100, it'll now be thin. But if I change this to 900, it should be pretty thick. Yep. So that is also a way to do it. But if I do like 850, I don't think it'll work. I'm like 99% sure that it won't work. Oh, it does work. Maybe it defaults, it like rounds up or down or something like that. So anyway, that is a thing. Next is text align. So it looks like we're just doing text right now. Okay, so text align. So you can align it left, right, whatever. Generally, only do left align, especially if you're doing multiple line things, because otherwise it is not accessible and not easy to read because you're changing the start of each line. So learn the best practices of how to format your website and stuff. So text align property of the main heading H1 to be right or center. Sorry, text align center. Okay. This is generally also not a good thing to put it in the center because we are changing the start points of each of the new lines. Just, yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that. If it's a single line, yeah, that's okay. But otherwise, really just don't.